Hi, Marty.
Hey Peter, everything good?
Yeah, I did some more practice. I wasn't able to repeat the same fastest lap time, but I'm sort of getting in the same neighborhood. Um, and I didn't. I think this one lap, I think I just nailed a few of the turns because it really felt like I'm at the limit, and I'm not getting that feeling all that frequently, but
Yeah,
I think it's good. Like you said, I just need more track time.
yeah,
I have questions for you. I try to pay more attention to what it feels like through the turn, and then sort of do this analysis at the end of the turn, what went well and what didn't go well. And so I want to discuss it with you, and then maybe you can help me, give me some additional pointers.
yep,
So
sure.
for turn one, we discussed that for some reason I was applying additional steering lock past the apex.
hmm
So I started to just pay more attention to this, and I think what was happening was uh, I think I was my tendency was to get oversteer coming into the turn, so that's why I would apply the throttle. And
Yeah,
then with the throttle, that helps with the oversteer, but then I just wouldn't be able to make the turn unless I turn the steering wheel more. So you were saying that maybe it doesn't really help because it actually reduces the grip.
yeah,
Um, but anyway, that's what it felt like, and I think so. I was wondering, okay, why do I have oversteer? So I thought maybe I'm trailing too much. I'm trailing the brake too much. But if I don't trail that much, then I just can make the turn. So, and at one point, I think I just hit the brakes a little bit early, and I think that helped me actually go through the turn faster. I could see the delta bar. I actually gained a few hundreds. So I think that's what I realized, that maybe I should try to brake a little early and then carry a bit more speed, and then I'll be able to have a better balanced car through the turn.
yeah,
I really figured that out yesterday near the end of my practice, so I need to practice it a little bit more. But I still, I still run off sometimes a little bit of the track past the curb. Um, so I just need to find I need to find like the right balance and the right timing, I guess, to be able to clear that corner well.
yeah. And I mean, when you're practicing and getting the finding the limit, it's if you run off to the grass a few times every now and then, that's basically what you should be doing. You shouldn't be going like nose nose first into the wall like that
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
overdriving. But if
Mm-hmm.
you drop few wheels to the grass or sand or whatever is next
Mm-hmm.
to the track every now and then that's kind of just exactly what you should be doing
Mm-hmm.
when in practice. Um,
Yeah.
and especially with a car like Skippy where you don't really you don't need to do any setup development. It's
Mm-hmm.
all just for the driving.
Yeah.
So I, I I wouldn't kind of force myself off to do exactly that if you go off every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
because then that way you'll be able to find the limit and then adjust
Yeah.
for the races. I checked a couple of your laps and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the kind of behavior that we spoke about last time with the
Mm-hmm.
kind of overturning that is gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's nowhere to be seen anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought I still do it sometimes, but I guess maybe less frequently.
Well, I mean I haven't spotted a lap
Okay,
where you have
cool.
done it. I mean I'm just randomly picking laps
Yeah.
from
Okay.
your past few
Okay.
days
Cool.
and
Yeah. I think another spot where I think I was doing a little bit of this. I was getting on because I that's turn three. Is it turn three?
the
One, two.
right-hander.
Yeah. So there is the left-hander, another left-hander, the the first right-hander. Yes.
Yeah,
So there, I think I would be on the throttle, but then I would realize. I wouldn't be able to make the turn, so I turn a little bit more while I'm already full throttle. So I think that's also an anti-pattern. I shouldn't be doing this. So when I catch myself, I realize I need to be more patient and turn more and then go full throttle.
Yeah. What you can do in those situations where you kind of realize that, okay, this is not going to work, instead of turning more, you should just kind of lift off the throttle
Mm-hmm.
completely for a split second and then just
Mm-hmm.
floor it again.
Mm-hmm.
And what that will do, it's about the weight transfer that we spoke
Mm-hmm.
some time ago.
Mm-hmm.
It will kind of shift the weight and the grip to the front tires momentarily, and that will allow the car to rotate a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And while you kind of immediately stomp on the throttle again,
Mm-hmm.
um, you kind of regain the balance, but your car is now a
Mm-hmm.
bit more pointed where it should be going. If
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work, maybe try another time. I mean, sometimes it's not the correct way to do,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that you want to do when you're kind
Mm-hmm.
of fixing a mistake that you've done before.
Yeah.
I might do exactly that. I might kind of jump off the throttle even up to 3 times
Mm-hmm.
before I kind of hit the exit curb.
Mm-hmm.
I remember especially at Zandvoort, turn one, it's a
Mm-hmm.
long hairpin,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
has camber, so
Mm-hmm.
the balance is a bit changing. I
Mm-hmm.
might be lifting off the throttle like a split second before I
Mm-hmm.
hit the curb. So
Mm-hmm.
when you do that quickly, it doesn't actually reduce your speed that much,
Okay.
especially when compared to going off the track.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I mean,
Okay.
you can do kind
And
of
and that's more effective than increasing steering lock and scrubbing the tires.
yes,
Okay.
because when you scrub the tires, you just heat them up, and also when you have kind of um, uh, you've turned in too much. Now, what happens in the exit when you start to unwind the steering wheel? You're in an understeering state, but at some time when you unwind the wheel,
Mm-hmm.
the front wheels will actually
Mm-hmm.
get to their get back to their optimal sleep
Yeah.
angle.
Mm-hmm.
And what that will force, or rather make your car to do, is it'll create a new oversteering moment.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because it suddenly would have more grip.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because when you unwind it, the slip angle of the front tires decrease,
Mm-hmm.
and because you've been kind of overdriving and having the wheel too much turned in, you have too much of that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the understeer that you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But when you unwind, it snaps back, and then you'll likely have
Mm-hmm.
oversteer for a
Mm-hmm.
brief moment.
Mm-hmm.
But especially with a higher powered car, with Skippy, I think you can get only very minimal
Mm-hmm.
amounts of wheel spin when exiting the slowest turns. But
Yeah.
with a car a bit heavier, a bit more powerful,
Yeah.
you might actually mistake
Mm-hmm.
exit oversteer for a lack of traction or
Mm-hmm.
to oversteering car when it's actually induced by you having too much wheel lock
Mm-hmm.
on the exit of a turn. And when you
Mm-hmm.
unwind the wheel, you you basically you unwind the wheel and you increase throttle at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that suddenly the fronts bite. So your first thought is that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the rear stepped out because I
Mm-hmm.
pressed the throttle, while it actually was because
Yeah. I
the
think
available.
I think I felt this after the Skippy race on Imola. I drove the MP4 30 a little bit, and after the chicane, after the first chicane, there is this left-hander, and over there I always had to lift off
Mm,
because otherwise at the end of the turn I guess is that what you're describing? I think I feel like I lose the back end
yeah,
at the end of the turning.
yeah, exactly. When you start to unwind the wheel,
Yes.
um, the car kind of snaps without warning, and that's
Mm-hmm.
due to two factors: usually applying the throttle, but also suddenly the front end
Yeah.
having grip instead
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
being in total understeer condition.
Yeah.
And basically, only way to avoid the kind of fast shift of balance is would be to kind of keep that
Mm-hmm.
too much steering lock until you can
Mm-hmm.
just unwind the wheel immediately,
Mm-hmm.
or then just kind of get out of that situation before the
Mm-hmm.
turn ends and you get start to apply throttle. So
Could it be possible that I'm just too early on the accelerator and before I've actually done the turn in, before I've turned in all the way I need to turn in? Because I might
uh,
actually need to turn more before actually going on the accelerator. How do
um,
you know which one is which? Like, how do I know I need more? I noticed in a couple of turns when I was learning the track that for example, the following turn four,
mhm.
there's you brake hard, throw brake a little bit, and then you stop throw braking and you turn even more. And this additional turning, I wasn't doing it. So how do you know you actually need to do that?
um, you mean turning more in the apex, or
Yes, turn in more in the apex.
um, I wouldn't really want to replicate that behavior. Sounds like a mistake of mine.
I don't know. Maybe either. Let's see. So if you look at, maybe let's look at some telemetry. I'm loading, I guess, any lap from the last session just to compare to
Yep.
yours. Let's see.
Because you're talking about the second right-hander, sector 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely call that. I would use your steering trace instead of mine
Oh,
because there is quite a large dip in my steering trace, and it could be that I might be even e either intentionally or just subconsciously, or it could be something that I personally need to work on exactly on the apex of the turn to kind of I might be uh, compensating, or rather I
Oh,
wouldn't
you
say
mean that it's not smooth, that there is a turn in and then you do a second turn? Is it
yeah,
like at the what offset? Is it like at the 1260 meters? Is it
yeah, I
that?
mean, yeah, there's definitely a moment where the car is oversteering in the turn. You can
Mm-hmm.
see me kind of turn the steering wheel, then back off a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then turn it again.
Yeah.
And the second time that I turn the wheel, I turn it too much.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also see at the point where I kind of start to turn in the wheel again, I'm also adding more throttle. So it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely the car is in some sort of
Okay.
oversteering conditions, which I
Mm-hmm.
for me it looks like overdriving
Yeah.
when I
Which,
look at my steering trace.
which of my laps are you looking at? Because the one I'm looking at, I actually apply quite a bit more steering lock.
That was actually your yesterday's session.
Is
Uh,
it the 3604 lap or something else?
this was the current example is a 31.9, so probably not the best. I'm just gonna quickly look at the your session best lap from yesterday evening,
31.
20 past 10. Yeah, your steering trace is there as well. It's more optimal than mine. You don't have any that kind of
So it's just to make sure, which one are you looking at? Is it a 16 lap session?
uh a 13 lap session, and
Oh, okay.
currently I'm viewing the best lap of that session, the lap
Okay.
9.
Okay. 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 Yeah. So here it's less. Okay. So maybe because because I think I'm now trying to do the opposite. I think what I was doing, I think I was trying to have more steering log, but you're saying this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, your trace is the one I would
Okay.
recommend doing, and
Yeah.
not what I'm doing. It's really, whenever you see a steering trace moving like
Mm-hmm.
what I have there,
Mm-hmm.
um, the car is certainly not in a stable condition there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I have brake input is changing quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My brake trace is not smooth. My
Mm-hmm.
throttle, I'm doing something with the throttle, and I'm moving my wheel
Mm-hmm.
left and right basically the
Mm-hmm.
whole time. As a base, it might be fast or not, I don't know, but over the time you don't want to try to replicate
Yeah, got it.
driving like that. And also looking at looking at your time delta
Uh-huh.
compared against mine, um, basically you seem to have a bit of a moment going to the exit of the turn
Uh-huh.
where you move quite dramatically to the left.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually need to use the whole track to go in this case because you're not grip limited. So,
Mm-hmm.
but before that point, when you kind of go the longer route that I do,
Ah,
um, the time difference between us in this example is like
yeah,
non-existent.
got it.
I'm slightly faster on the entry to the turn, the mid phase,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't really count as you're able to be
Yeah.
full throttle just a split second before I can.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is that our exit speeds are identical, and
Yeah.
so is the time difference as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what you see me there is just trying to balance the car, maybe some
Yeah, yeah,
overdriving.
yeah.
Uh, so
So I'm noticing here, I'm just looking at, I finished trailing and almost immediately afterwards I start accelerating, and then I guess I continue to slightly increase the steering log while I'm already full throttle. So I guess there's a little bit of something I could maybe fix here because I add
yeah,
steering log a little bit. I
yeah,
guess it's a fraction of a second, but still.
yeah. I think in meters it's just like a car length or so difference, and I would say that you could possibly gain like a couple of hundredths of a second by
Mm-hmm.
that correction, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not nothing that really stands out. I
Yeah.
mean, but of course, over time, when you're able to put more consistent laps in, I mean, right now I would say that your consistent lap is around 31-second mark,
Yeah. Yeah.
slightly
Exactly.
above that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you get that, when you can do consistent below 31-second laps,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm fairly sure that you can do with a
Mm-hmm.
bit of practice,
Mm-hmm.
then you should start to focus on kind of these very minor things when you can kind
Yeah.
of replicate them. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the steering trace, it has nothing like it,
Okay.
nothing is standing out there,
Okay.
so you don't really need to worry about that or
Okay.
think that okay, I need to be a little softer
Yeah.
on the steering wheel because
Yeah.
those are so minor things that
Yeah. Yeah. Now that I think I pretty much had a good hang of like how to trail brake, I used to before I started the coaching, I used to not trail brake. Why in the Skippy? Why would you coast and not trail brake a little bit? I guess on very wide turns it doesn't make sense, or
um the risk when you trail brake is that if you're just a tiny bit too heavy on the brakes or you're too hot for the corner, the car will go into understeer state, and basically that's the corner ruined then, and not much you can do for that.
you mean
Uh,
oversteer,
understeer,
understeer? If you
Yeah,
have, oh, okay, if you brake too much,
yeah,
if
and
you decelerate too much.
yeah,
Okay.
you might go. But also, if you're just too fast into the turn, I mean, I don't think unless you do some like moves that you try to induce
Mm-hmm.
oversteer into the car, I don't think it's possible to kind of
Mm-hmm.
accidentally get into
Mm-hmm.
oversteering state on turning.
Mm-hmm.
You can. I'm not saying that it's impossible, and
Mm-hmm.
for me it happens quite often, especially with the rearward brake ballast
Mm-hmm.
that I
Mm-hmm.
use. But just having too much entry speed usually will result in,
Mm-hmm.
at least in some point of the turn, it will result usually in, in understeer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, so you said that you kind of started that thought process of kind of evaluating the corners.
Yeah.
How did that go? Did it take take time away from actually focusing on the driving, or did
No,
you?
yeah, no, I think it's actually helpful because it helps me. I think that's what guides me to try out different things and helps me become aware of what I'm doing. So I think that's good because I mean, looking at what I found previously, I look at the telemetry and I tell myself I need to brake so much later, and then I try to brake so much later. I look at the telemetry, I'm still braking in the same place. So
Mm,
I think this reflection on the last corner helps me just have better awareness of what I'm doing and what are the effects. Um, and I think I also went through this process of figuring out, okay, I actually need to brake a little bit early for turn one. So I think that's actually very good. What I found out, another thing is, I guess I'm not very consistent in what I use as markers because I'm also still trying to figure out exactly where to look and when to look where. I think initially, for example, for this sector 4, I was looking at the signs on the left hand side for us
mhm.
as braking markers, and then I started looking at the pavement and the curb. But then what I think is my breaking point based on the looking at the sign is no longer, I guess I end up braking in a different place. So I know that, for example, I know that I run off wide or I know I turn in too early, but I don't necessarily. I mean, maybe it just takes more practice, but it doesn't necessarily fix it. I know what I'm doing wrong when I do it wrong, and I know when I
Mhm.
nail the turn. But that doesn't necessarily mean the next lap I'm repeating the good stuff. So I don't know. Should I? And for example, when I talk to Martin, he doesn't really use reference points. Um, so I don't know. Should I focus on this? Should I try to go and think about the markers on the entry, or do you just use this awareness and over time it just sort of comes like more
Um,
becomes more a feeling about when and what you should be doing?
um, Basically, in the beginning of your be it sim racing or real racing career,
Mm-hmm.
you should focus on those markers. Um, what the good guys, the best guys do, that they don't like consciously focus on any of the marks.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't kind of look at the 100-meter mark. Okay, that's my sign when it's at
Mm-hmm.
that angle.
Mm-hmm.
But they still process that in their heads, basically without thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and they can then drive. And I mean, if you would track their eye movements, you would
Mm-hmm.
see that they're not actually even looking at the marks, but
Mm-hmm.
they are still fully aware of them
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously. And that also implies to I mean, turning points, apexes, everything that you have there,
Mm-hmm.
and that knowledge of the track and the details that you have there,
Mm-hmm.
kind of built into your brain. They're also the cues that
Mm-hmm.
will tell you fairly early on in the corner if you're gonna make it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good drivers will, by the time that they turn in, they
Mm-hmm.
can already tell that, okay, now this is going that direction, and I need to compensate it by doing this and that. But obviously, you don't have time nor capability to kind of process that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, consciously, yeah.
Yeah, but what you should do instead is just kind of pick up those different marks and
Mm-hmm.
try to get an idea in the beginning. Focus on the marks, look at them, um, try to find new ones. Um, Anything that you can, and when you think about a corner, you should be able to remember everything starting from the breaking point, how the asphalt is, are
Mm-hmm.
there cracks, what shape and color are the
Mm-hmm.
curbs and everything. It should be like you should almost have kind of a photo memory
Mm-hmm.
for the corners, every face, so you can.
So,
I
so
mean,
if you know that the turn you did really well, do you actually also can you actually sort of rewind in your mind what everything looked like from the entry through the exit?
um, pretty much. I mean, if I would try to draw an image on
Uh-huh.
paper, even if I could draw,
Uh-huh.
it would probably look quite abstract
Mm-hmm.
as there are. I could probably draw some skid marks in there, some bumps, some cracks, and
Mm-hmm.
all this kind of weird stuff that I pick up while I drive,
Mm-hmm.
and I could then tell someone else that okay, what you see during that corner, it wouldn't be just like
Mm-hmm.
okay, it goes left and right and up,
Mm-hmm. Okay,
but
so what I hear is being aware of being able to evaluate the corner. I think I'm getting a hang of this. I mean, just I'm able to tell when it was good and when it was bad. I mean, the delta bar helps a lot because I know if I lost speed, lost time or not. I know if, for example, the car starts sliding a little bit. I can tell this, and then the next step would be to just build up more awareness of the surroundings.
yeah,
What the tarmac, the curbs, surroundings of the track look like, and then being able to just be more aware of all the surroundings, not just what the car is doing.
yeah, because in that way you're going to be able to realize the position of the car on the track a lot
Mm-hmm.
better,
Mm-hmm.
and when you know the path really well that you must take through a
Mm-hmm.
turn to be to maximize the car and yourself, um, when you notice that okay, this time again you don't do this consciously,
Mm-hmm.
but when you have these marks and you really know the turn well, already when you turn in, if something isn't right,
Mm-hmm.
then you naturally kind of compensate it for your driving when you
Mm-hmm.
have surpassed some marks that you've kind of really bred into your brain.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so another thing. So last week was Sonoma, and there aren't really good marks for many of the turns. So I think I was just staring at the turn, not at the breaking point. I was just staring towards the apex. I mean, I couldn't even see the apex on the first hairpin, for
Mm.
example. But then I think I don't know if I need to actually go look back at the data, see if I was consistent in my breaking point. But I guess I can look towards the turn instead of look towards the side for the breaking point, and I would still be able to pick up markers. I just don't need to stare at them.
Yeah,
Uh,
you should not, because the way humans works is that you tend to go where you look at them, and if
yeah.
your brake marker is somewhere other direction than where you're going at,
Hmm.
it's not going to work
Yeah, I
in the
think
long run.
yeah, I
Uh,
think I find it difficult to hit the apex because I only turn my eyesight towards the apex pretty much shortly before I'm done with the braking.
yeah,
And I think that I realize that I'm in a sense turning in blind. I don't know where I'm going because I wasn't looking. I'm looking at the curb for the brake point, and
yeah,
keep looking at the curb while I'm heavy on the brakes, just to know. Okay, now I'm done turning, but I'm
yeah,
now I'm done braking. But then I'm sort of turning in blind into into the corner.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed that I'm doing.
It's actually pretty good practice to force yourself to look way ahead of
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing. So basically, practice so that on the straight, look at the break point. When you're at the break point, your eyes should be already on the depending on how you can see it, either the
Mm-hmm.
turning point or the apex already.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're apexing, your eye should be on the exit. When you're exiting, your
Mm-hmm.
eye should be on the next either
Mm-hmm.
break or turning point.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite difficult at first,
Yeah.
and your lap times will decrease. But what will that do to you is that you will automate your driving a bit. A
Mm-hmm.
good example of this method is the first sector at Suzuka,
Mm-hmm.
because especially with the high downforce car, you're going really fast there,
Mm-hmm.
and basically into the second or third, depending on the method you count the turns.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, after the first U-turn, in a way, the position of your car at that point will determine how fast you're through the whole first sector.
Mm-hmm.
And if you apex too early or late at any point in those
Mm-hmm.
turns, your lap time will suffer a lot.
Yeah.
So especially in places like that, you really need to look ahead. And personally, I had this experience that I was basically losing a couple of tenths throughout the whole sector, and I was
Mm-hmm.
wondering what I am doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I changed was that I moved my kind of viewpoint one step ahead. So when I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of positioning myself for the turn, I already pointed my eyes to the apex,
Mm-hmm.
and on the apex, I was already pointed to the following apex because it's
Mm-hmm.
just a series of apexes
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
and that in itself was enough to
Mm-hmm.
put me back into the group and
Okay.
improve my lap time.
Okay, so always look one step ahead. Are there some people who like look all the way through the exit of the turn even if they don't see it?
Yeah, that's basically what I spoke about earlier about
Mm-hmm.
having those kind of not necessarily conscious kind of
Mm-hmm.
reference points, but still those reference points,
Mm-hmm.
so that even when you're not actually able to see
Mm-hmm.
where you're going, you still
Yeah.
know exactly where your car is, what kind of attitude the car has,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. So you already know how it's
Yeah.
going to end without actually seeing,
Yeah.
and
But
you can all.
that's another level of complexity. That's another step. I guess if I wanna just take it one step at a time, I should look one sort of one increment further, and over time I should be able to look even further.
Um, I don't know how far it's a personal thing, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. I mean, how far you want to look, and especially in a race situation where you have
Mm.
pressure, you kind of move into the area that you work the boat best.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's my
Mm-hmm.
opinion how it
Mm-hmm.
works.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I mean, the further you look, especially in a race situation, if there's a collision ahead, you
Mm-hmm.
can you can pretty much always see which drivers are looking ahead and which are looking
Mm-hmm.
at what's right in front of them,
I get
because
it.
those who look ahead will just have actually quite easy time
Yeah.
avoiding crashes. Of course, with an F1 or something like that, things happen so fast that there's
Yeah.
sometimes nothing you can do, and there's always that
Mm-hmm.
if moment
Yeah.
present. But still,
Yeah.
it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. One final question about the last turn before the long straight. I mean, before going on the oval.
Yep.
I when I look at my averages, the traces are very similar, but I tend to lose a lot of time in the, I guess, in the turn-in phase, and then acceleration. Once I'm full throttle, then I don't really lose much time. But then that's very. It's just applying less, trailing less, or releasing pressure more quickly. I mean, these are so fine differences that it's not. I'm not really. I won't be able to consciously tune that. So, and there's a lot of time, I guess, to be lost or gained there. So and it's just in the turn-in phase or the mid corner. So I don't know. Do you have any tips for that last turn?
Um, not not really. I mean, I can see that in the graph, the delta time changes quite a lot, but it doesn't necessarily change that much. It only fluctuates
Mm-hmm.
because at the time when we're both through the corner and
Mm-hmm.
unwinded the steering wheel, the speed traces are again
Yeah.
pretty similar. So
Yeah.
so I wouldn't be for example, I'm just comparing my fastest lap and your
Mm-hmm.
that 13 lap session fastest lap.
Okay.
There's this dip basically right in the apex of the turn when
Yeah.
looking at the delta bar, but that doesn't really mean anything
Mm-hmm.
because the dip kind of disappears, and
Yeah.
when it smooths out, then we're exactly
Yeah.
the same speed.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying my average. Maybe let's see if we look at the average lap. Let's see what it's gonna look like.
From the same session, the 13 lap.
Yeah, yeah, from the same session, I guess. I guess my break point is not very consistent because you see how the beginning is sort of it's gradually increases, and when it averages the laps, that just means my break point is
Yeah,
not
it's
very consistent. So maybe that's part of it, and then I guess I trail or I keep braking longer. So
yeah.
maybe
Your average line is a bit wider than mine is,
yeah,
and
yeah.
also your entry speed is a bit higher than mine is.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just
Yeah.
try to
So
brake a bit more aggressively and
yeah,
slow
yeah.
down for the turn.
Yeah. On average, I'm applying less pressure than you do,
Yeah,
which maybe causes me to brake longer.
yeah. I mean, a hairpin like this, I don't know how much you really want to trail brake in a turn like this.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, the tighter the radius of the turn is, the less you want to trail brake.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when you have a fast turn, like I mean, I mean, the first turn in this track. I mean, if you would have to slow down for it,
Yeah.
the one that you go full throttle,
Yeah.
if you would have to slow down for it, you would probably start the braking on the turning point and very kind of trail brake all the way to the apex and then go on
Mm-hmm.
throttle.
Okay.
While in a turn like this 180-degree turn, well, almost, but anyways,
Yeah.
you want to do the braking in a straight line, efficient, slow down, start the braking as late as possible, kind
Okay.
of use a late apex, and
Yeah.
when you eventually get off the brakes, get off them fairly quickly to give the front tires and the whole car the
Mm-hmm.
best lateral G potential it
Mm-hmm.
has,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
make a sharp turn with just coasting the car or applying very minor amount of throttle to
Mm-hmm.
kind of remove the transmission and then engine
Mm-hmm.
resistance that I think I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned
Mm-hmm.
before, and then just point the car and floor it, and off you
Okay.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see you're turning in more than I do. So, and
Yeah,
I guess that's because you brake hard. I guess at the end of the braking phase, you already start turning in a little bit,
yeah,
and then once you're off the brakes,
yeah, and
another. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
you can see me dropping off the brakes fairly rapidly here,
Yeah.
and I spent quite a little time coasting.
Yeah.
Basically, just like
Yes.
1/3 of the corner, I'm coasting,
Yeah.
and then I'm already getting on the throttle.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess with I guess what I've noticed is if I get off the brakes very quickly and then try to turn immediately, um, it's easy to induce oversteer. So are
Yeah.
you countering this by beginning the turn in while you're still on the brakes?
Um, Not consciously, at least.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, I can see that my steering angle is a bit, at least compared to you, it's quite high on this example. I might be overdriving the car a bit. Um, it seems a bit much in this example.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it might be that I'm just kind of adjusting the balance of the car towards a
Mm-hmm.
bit of, mm, I don't know, understeer, but maybe at least making sure it's not oversteering. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, but yeah, heavy braking. I should try not to trail and be on full throttle as soon as possible.
yeah, when you basically when you trail brake, you remove some turning capability of the car,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
of course, vice versa. I mean, when you don't trail brake, you usually need to turn in. Sorry, you need to start braking earlier. So,
Mm-hmm. Got it.
I I mean, even though it feels that you're being very aggressive into the corner and braking and thinking that okay, compared to the guy who's braking only in straight line,
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm kind of braking way later and so
Yeah.
on. Actually, that's not the case because the guy who brakes only in a straight line, he has the full potential of the car to use to the lateral G's, which make the car turn while you
Yeah.
actually
Yeah. Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to combine. But still, I mean, trail braking is very, very efficient method of driving when you do it correctly and
Mm-hmm.
when you can adjust the balance of the car with it. It's
Yeah.
something.
Okay. Cool. I think that gives me a few more pointers. I'll practice a little bit more today, and yeah, I'll race on the weekend. So I want to get my average lap times more consistent
Yeah,
because like a single fast lap is no good in a race.
yeah. But there's no really that much of a shortcut. Of course, when you kind of get into this flow of doing things and kind of or evaluating how the corners went and so on,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that consistency will follow. But
Mm-hmm.
still, there's no easy way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to learn the track very well. You
Yeah.
have to know the car very well
Mm-hmm.
to be able to replicate
Mm-hmm.
fast lap times
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
one another.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I don't think I have any questions at the moment. Thanks a lot, Marty. It's always very helpful.
No problem.
And
Thank you.
yeah, look forward to the next week as well.
All right. Good
All
luck
right.
for the races.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.